Belgium's finance minister says today's apparent no vote in Greece complicates Europe's financial matters. Greek citizens apparently rejecting a stringent bailout plan from international creditors. Correspondent Issa Suarez with more from Athens.
What the referendum question was, do you accept the terms of the proposals that the creditors, so that's the European Union, European Commission and the IMF, have been asking for? That is calling for more cuts in pensions, more tax rises. A majority of people interpreted that as more austerity or more of the same, or really changing the way the country is run.
Big stakes in Vienna at the multi-power talks with Iran over that country's nuclear program. Secretary of State John Kerry says they could go either way by Tuesday's deadline. Ben Cardin, top Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, telling ABC's This Week.
If they reach an agreement, they're pretty close. It'll be judged by the terms of the agreement. Our objective is to prevent Iran from becoming a nuclear weapon state.
I'm Michael Toscano. Crowds now gathering in Quito, Ecuador to see Pope Francis making his first official visit to his native Latin America as Pope. Correspondent Shasta Darlington is with the crowd.
People are already lining up here on the street. He's not expected to pass by in his Pope-mobile for another 4 hours, but these people want to make sure they get a glimpse of him. They're singing their religious hymns.
Pope Francis hoping to highlight the needs of the poor in his trip. Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is in the hot seat this weekend for his vote for a bill stopping victims of gun violence or their families from being allowed to sue gun makers. The independent socialist senator from Vermont trying to reassure the Democratic voters he needs to win that party's nomination.
Every campaign that I have been in where the NRA and the gun folks have had a position, they've opposed me. In fact, I have about a D- record from the NRA.
Senator Sanders on CNN's State of the Union. Prince William and his wife Kate marking a milestone for their baby Princess Charlotte, a christening ceremony on Queen Elizabeth's country estate. I'm Michael Toscano.
Johnny wants to be a performer, and everybody knows school costs money. Johnny wants to know what he has to do to become a performer. Plus, he needs experience before he decides to spend the money for school. Johnny's confused. He has no one to talk to about his choices. He then hears an ad on the radio about Media8tor Arts Academy, where he can perform, network, train, and find a place to prepare for school. Johnny has found a place to expand his talents to make his decision and also increase his resume. Now, let's explain how Johnny got signed up. He went online to Media8inc.com and clicked on register. They called him back, asked him what his vision was, then found a place for him to perform. Whether it's theater, music, or movies, as long as Johnny is willing, Media8inc.com is able. And that's the story of how Johnny became a performer through Media8 Arts Academy.
The U.S. women's soccer team facing Japan in today's World Cup final.
It's been 16 years since Brandi Chastain's iconic goal-scoring, shirt-ripping, fist-pumping moment.
The United States has won the Women's World Cup.
Believe it or not, despite being a dominant power in women's soccer, 1999 was the last time the U.S. won the World Cup. They were in the final 4 years ago, also facing Japan, losing on penalty kicks after blowing the lead twice. Midfielder Carly Lloyd says the team is focused.
We didn't come here to just make the final. We came here to win it.
Vancouver will be filled with American fans, including Vice President Joe Biden, leading a delegation from the White House. I'm Joe Ramsey.
I don't know how much stock to put into this, but some researchers are seeing a link between eye color and alcohol dependence. That's in a new study published in the American Journal of Medical Genetics. The study finds that the risk of alcohol problems is greater for anyone with a light eye color, but those with blue eyes could be the most inclined to abuse it. Those with dark or brown eyes had the least risk of alcoholism in that study. I'm Michael Toscano.
Have you ever thought about publishing a book, but just didn't know how to do it? Well, at Media8, we try to make publishing simple. You ask questions, we give you answers. You want a book? We find the right option for you to publish. When you need advice about getting your methods out to the world, Media8 is the place to call. Register today at Media8inc.com, where we make ideas seem simple.
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill. If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
right
notice
there.
on one door.
Rolling. Motion. Roll sound. And action.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ohioans, Pennsylvanians, welcome to the Media with me, your host, Brian West. We have a great show for you today. We have my man, Tony Budak, on the line. Tony, are you there?
Yes, sir. Hi, Brian.
Excellent. Now, we are ready to go, and we're fired up. Ohioans, we just had the Independence holiday pass us by, and the state of Ohio is on the move as we represent the red, white, and blue, not only just on the flag, but in our state colors as well. So, Tony, now you are representing the time banking, and for all you people out there, time is a valuable thing. All of us have the opportunity to do things with our time, and Tony has a system of using your time in the wisest manner, which is work and productivity, and that is what we all want, and that's what we all need. Now, Tony, real quick, explain what time banking is.
Brian, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to talk about my favorite subject. Time banking is a way of building community, essentially, and we use the assets. I want to say that these are not my ideas. Let me give the credit here to Edgar Kahn. He's a civil rights lawyer. He got out of Yale Law School and went to work for Robert Kennedy. And he brought the federal government together and instituted legal services for poor people. However, when the national legislation went into effect, the people in the District of Columbia were not entitled to a lawyer. All the other states had legal service agencies where if you were too poor, you couldn't afford a lawyer. As you know, the Constitution, happy 4th of July today, says that if you are entitled to a lawyer and you need a lawyer when you get into the court system. So Edgar and his wife founded the Antioch School of Law in Washington, D.C., and they required the students getting a law degree to provide legal services for the residents of the District of Columbia. And because they were their marketing or their audience was poor people, the way that they found a way to allow poor people to pay for that legal service from the college was to every hour that they worked in the community, giving an hour to whatever this social service was, the church or cleaning up the neighborhood, block watches, they would earn an hour. They could use that hour that they earned in a bank account, so to speak, in a ledger, and use that hour to pay an attorney going to law school to represent them. Mm-hmm. So that's the Edgar's foundation of time banking.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're using the people, or not using, allowing the people's assets to use finding a way for the skill, the wisdom, and the knowledge of the local community to come together is what we call asset-based community development. Mm-hmm. And Northwestern University has an institute there run by Peter Block and John McKnight. They've been there since 1995 working on community organizing. And they go into community and they take an inventory of the people in town, just like basically building up the old-fashioned yellow pages.
Yeah.
A big ledger, what the skills, what the wisdom, what people are interested in, and putting it into a big database and trying to bring the skill and the wisdom of the community to address the needs of the community.
Absolutely.
These ideas that I'm going to be talking about today are all basically not my idea. They're from reputable, wise social scientists and civil rights lawyers who have provided us with their skill, their knowledge, and their wisdom to pass on. So now, there's a time bank movement around the world. There's over 500 time banks in the one network called the Network Time Bank USA.
Yeah.
There's over 500 time banks in the United States in another network called the Our World Network. Mm-hmm. And the Our World Network has over 400 time banks in the UK. Mm-hmm. This movement of community organizing, this way of getting together and organizing, has been going on for over 20 years. Actually, it's been going on. It's a natural thing for people to come together and self-organize and try to solve problems. But we're learning that we're more powerful the more information we have, the more people that we have that we can bring together in a network, in a community. We can achieve greater things.
Now I was going to say there's an obstacle, Tony, real fast. There's an obstacle, and this is what I see the obstacle always is, especially in a lot of inner city communities where people people always believe in the capitalism structure, and I think what you're doing can not only help just average citizens, but everyday thinkers, because I want the importance of this show is I want people to get the idea that people always think they have to. I always hear people say, I want to move away, I want to go out of the community, but they don't understand that there are resources right within the community. Am I correct?
Oh, you put that real well, Brian. Yeah.
So talk about how you are bringing, with how the time banking can show people how these resources they don't have to relocate, but just plugging people into those resources.
Okay. You have to more or less buy into this. If you want to, let me talk a little bit about, motivation. If you want to be role modeling, if you want to be involved with your community in a role modeling way, if you want to become a sort of an amateur community organizer, if you want to work with other people in your neighborhood, in your town, in your extended family, you can use the time bank to achieve whatever objective. Time banking is really like a Swiss Army knife. You can use time banking to address juvenile delinquency, elder care, homecomers from prison, Vietnam veteran issues, social justice issues. If you want to go into ideas of co-production, you want to build widgets in your garage, you can establish the workers getting time credits for the time that they put in to make your product, and develop a safe harbor within the time bank network to market, to sell, to learn income and revenue and business accounting, to improve your sales marketing pitches or marketing your paperwork, and take that when you get it pretty well running, get customer endorsements and testimonies, take that data that you practice in your time bank and take that to a bank or take that to a college and use it as a starting point to go into the federal economy, and then you have a business that's operating instead of with time credits, operating with federal dollar bills.
Now let's discuss this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Tony, but let's discuss this because you brought up something that rung a bell in my mind. Okay, let's discuss this because to give you an idea, I have a lot of people in not only my network, but a lot of friends and family who I know that need people with skills to they don't even have to have skills, but just to volunteer their time to learn something. And you'd be amazed about, it amazes me about workers when, one person can push a train, 2 people can push a train, but 3 people can move a train, So what you're saying, you know what I'm saying? So what you're saying is if people get involved with time banking, they can not only increase their resume, but there's something in it for them because they're getting credit for providing their services. And another thing, Tony, I wanted to bring up is people have to get, this is just a point I want to bring up before we get real deep into this topic. People, I think people have to get out of this state of mind where they always feel like they have to obtain capital, which is money. And that's what I think that's why we're going to talk a little bit about later on in the show. But tell us a little bit about how people can sign up and get involved. Because I know a semi-pro league that needs volunteers. I know people that need helpers. So we can I'm telling you, we can kind of work together. So talk a little bit about how people can sign up for time banking, Tony.
Well, we have a website here in the Mahoning Valley, and we cover 4 counties, Trumbull, Mahoning, Columbiana, and Mercer County. We cover the metropolitan index that the media cover.
Yeah.
Now, it's just that the initials is Time Bank Mahoning Watershed. So the initials, you go to www.tbmw.org, and at the top of that page, you'll see Join.
Yeah.
You just fill out the join, your name, your phone number, and your email address, and then I'll start relating with you and connecting with you.
And you are very dedicated.
I want to point out that I mentioned Our World Network. That's 1,500 time banks. So if you need a freelance writer, you need a website developer, you're doing a business, you want information about something. This database that's on the International World Wide Web, you can contact any one of those 1,500 people between the United States and the UK. And they're all in the same, like when you play football, basketball, whatever, there's rules to the game.
Yeah.
So we have rules to the game about time banking, and they've all agreed to provide wisdom, knowledge, and skill hour for hour.
Yeah.
So that's, it's a tremendous...
That is.
Power base to operate out of. Mm-hmm. I'm working with a lady in New York to develop marketing for my own local time bank.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, I wanted to invest more because I see a benefit in it. I did call you one time. I kind of threw you a curveball. I wanted to know because there was we had a actor who had needed some services. She had needed a car. She had her car broke down, and she's like, I have I don't know, Youngstown's got some poverty-stricken people, so sometimes they need resources. And you said that she had to be a member. Now, explain that a little bit. Now, why do people, how does it work? Do you have a system where people can try it out, or if you want to plug people in, how can friends relate people into the network, especially for people who are not members?
Well, transportation is, I think, the first or second traded task offer or requested offer in the database. It's easy to do, and people, they say, well, I don't have to worry about, failing or doing well or doing bad or how difficult it is. I could pick somebody up and take them somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever. So transportation is an easy thing. But we do have, lawyers that will give you an hour maybe or two of, knowledge and suggestions. And we have people that are in business that use the time banking thing as a sort of I hate to say this, but a bait and switch.
Yeah.
If they're a professional in what they're doing, they can't always trade hour for hour because they got to make a living as a professional. But they can offer their skills in the, I call it the yellow pages, but really it's a website with all of that information.
Yeah.
So you go there and you want a plumber or you want a piano teacher or even if you want to play golf with somebody or you want somebody to walk your dog, you go through the categories just like in the yellow pages and you find that skill, whether you want to give it or receive it. And that it's with a problem, not a problem, but you need to have a computer, you need to go online to do this. The only way we can do this as a community, as people like myself, we don't need to be a big corporation. We don't need, this is the whole miracle of the internet.
Yeah.
It's a two levels of improvement over Facebook because, Facebook is really about building relations, about, being a friend, venting your frustrations over something. But our internet website is really about purposeful, goes beyond just relationship building. It has the purposes to build power between, in communities doing what they want to do with their skill and with their time.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, I think where we're located, where we're headed is the part of the strength, the part where people can get the idea. That's what I wanted from the first part, where people can get the idea of how important time banking is for a community, where you have people offering their service for other members and getting credit for it on the time sheet. And you have a website which has a database where people can go inside the website and find the resources that they need within the community. Now, tell us. Now, every community, I mean, you guys have a proven rap sheet of being effective. If I'm not mistaken, I believe time banking is available on a national scale, correct?
Right.
So tell us some of the things, some of the impacts that you guys, because I know you've been working hard. I've seen you, I've come into quite a few meetings, and I can't wait to get more involved. I had to go do some things on the field before, but I have some ideas for you, Tony, and I plan on investing. But I want to talk about some of the things that you guys have done within the community already. How effective have you been in
one of the major problems recently is about the relationship between the police department and their community, adult citizens, and with the young people in the community. And there are 3 time bank youth courts.
Oh, wow.
A youth court is where the teens in the high school are adjudicating or hearing, in a sense, an official hearing. The teens run the prosecutor role, they run the defense attorney's role, they run the judicial role, and the jury role. So the teens are taught by retired lawyers, civics teachers,
wonderful,
policemen, and court administrators, and the high school how to set up a youth court within the high school. Then when somebody is between, let's say, I don't know, depending on 13 and 17, high school, it could even be older in some jurisdictions. But basically, when they're a first-time offender, they've done drugs, graffiti, got in a fight, stole something, made some property damage, rather than just slapping them on the wrist and say, hey, no, you shouldn't do that again. Well, they say, out the next time, I just got to be more careful I don't get caught. You know?
Yeah.
And so this becomes a roadmap to greater offenses, because there's the accountability for first-time offenders is not very strong. Now, if they become habitual, then they wind up in the judicial system.
Yeah.
They have a record. They have to go to juvenile delinquency hall. They have to go into a reform school or reform jail, for the lack of a better word. And then they hang out with hardened or more experienced juvenile delinquents, and now they learn more bad behavior.
Yeah.
So what we want to do in time banking is as I mentioned earlier, is create a community. We want to create a community of young people and adults. When I say create a community, I'm talking about creating a network and creating an organization that performs restorative justice. So when the first-time offender gets picked up, he goes and he is judged and tried by his brothers and sisters in that high school.
Yeah.
And he has to agree, yes, I was guilty, yes, I did this wrong, and I will then follow the dictates of the court, of the juvenile court. So what you have in this situation, the recidivism rate there's 3 time bank youth courts in the United States. The normal youth court statistics are around 13-14% repeats. In other words, kids will go through, and 13-14% of the data of 100 people that are going through the court system, 15% of them will come back and wind up in the court system again.
Yeah.
But the recidivism rate in a time bank situation, where you have the teens adjudicating the teens, where you have teens as role models in the high school that continually confront that offender before and after his offense, and they have more influence on that offender than an adult or than the court system, the recidivism rate is down below 6%. So it has a tremendous effect on what do I call it here? Not the delinquency, but the antisocial behavior, the respect that teens have for civil behavior, for restorative justice.
Yes.
So you don't punish kids. You get them to correct their behavior. You get them to role model and become somebody that is respected.
Yes.
In the high school.
Now, Tony, you're headed down my alley here. You're headed down my alley. I like where you're going. Listen, I don't want to exhaust you, but I want you to feel like now. This is what the question I have for you. Now, can
I say one more thing?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What's so good about this program? I am trying so hard in
I was going to ask you that.
and in Warren to get the school systems. Yeah, I have been with Connie Hathorne. I have been with Judge Delig. I have been with all of the police chiefs. I've given them this spiel about we need to work upstream. When I say upstream, it's too late when they're coming out of a drugstore or quick market, with whatever they've stolen. That's too late. We got to get to the kids, what I call upstream, early in life.
Yes.
Before these patterns of behavior become ingrained. And that means working in the high school.
Yeah.
That's what that means. Working in the community, on the street, in the neighborhood.
Well, that's an old tactic, I think. In the negative sense, Hitler used that strategy. He said, and this is what I'm saying, why the government probably targets the youth, or whoever targets the youth, is because they get them early. But if you teach them productivity early, which I believe, if you teach them productivity and the importance of working with the community, then they can make a bit better impact rather than putting them into the juvenile system. To sum it up.
I want to feed that back to you and re-say that word productivity and say co-production. In time banking, we call this co-production. That means that the adults in the neighborhood, the kids, the social service agencies, the police, the juvenile system, co-produce restorative justice, co-produce the reality. Now, if you ask people to co-produce generally in the way things are done now, they're volunteers.
Yeah.
Their participation and their input in, let's say the juvenile court system with Judge Delig and Youngstown, as a volunteer, they really have to follow the operation of what Judge Delig says.
Well, we have to.
However, if members in the community establish a youth court, what they establish is they establish a nonprofit. They become the leaders. They become the executives. They become the directors, and they are in charge of that court. They can, raise money or not raise money. They can operate that court in the way they want to, and in that way, they can also move into a situation where they get funded.
You want to empower them,
right? And they become in charge. So we start, in a time bank situation, but there's the time in Washington D.C. I told you where Edgar worked. One of the first things that he did, because he's a lawyer, he was friends with the Superior Court judge in the D.C. court system. And he, drinking coffee with him, he says, we got a problem here with juvenile delinquency in the district. And the judge says, well, what do you want to do, Edgar? And Edgar says, I want to have a youth court. So they started it, and it was funded by the tax dollars in the district. 10 years later, because of the conservatives or the,
just the movement.
The government says we're not going to fund that Washington, D.C. youth court, that time bank court anymore. So the time bank, they had the power. They were connected to the community. They said, oh, my God. When they had a meeting, they said, we're going to have to close up shop. Hundreds of people showed up.
Amazing.
Because they were networked and they were connected to the residents. They were connected in a way that was soulful and feeling way. They weren't a distant social service agency, because they had not only wraparound services with these young people, they also had
I know what you're saying.
Power to influence young people, and it wasn't given over to it. So they were in charge of it.
Let me give a quick.
They were able to raise money and keep that court going.
I have to give a quick tagline real quick. You were listening to The Mediator with Brian West. I am talking to Tony Budak on the phone, and if you want to be a sponsor or donate to the program, you can always donate at method8inc.com. We are talking about time banking and the importance of building strong communities. Tony Budak is a representative, and he has a time banking, and he goes out into the communities. And what he is talking about is very important because the system, what he's saying is if you go after the youth early to be not only productive citizens but co-productive citizens, then they can become empowered not only to stop rebelling against the system but be a part of the system. And Tony Budak has been very, very active, and he's been out and now one thing I wanted to ask you, Tony, is you people who are in the nonprofit sector, meaning people who are trying to go out and enlighten and wake up people, or trying to get them to understand the importance of giving your time and serving the community and things like that. They go through a lot. Even the law enforcement people that you're talking about, even the police officers, these people go through a lot. Tell us some of the things that you have went through. Like you said, you went to present your ideas, and you're trying to show people a way. How hard is that to get people to understand?
It's hard. I mean, it's difficult because you ask if First of all, I've been talking about what we call peer-to-peer, person-to-person service, wisdom, and time exchanges. So an hour for this or 2 hours for this, and then you reward me out of your bank account 2 hours for what I did for you. But we can also use time banking to co-produce or collaborate or cooperate with a social service agency, with a police department, with a family services agency, with a hospital. And when we say in time banking, we have rules, all right? So we say if you want to use volunteers, we don't call our people volunteers. We say they're getting paid, and they're getting a thank you in the form of a digital currency called the time credit.
Yes.
And we say those people must be respected. And those people are co-producing the outcome of what is occurring. So a volunteer is not recognized as an equal partner in the enterprise.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of a customer that, when I was born in 1942, my mother had me at St. Elizabeth's Hospital. And then she was put in recovery, and she started getting pains.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I'm having these pains, and I don't know what. They said, oh, it's okay, honey. First of all, let me say, my mother was uneducated. She's a hillbilly from West Virginia.
Yeah.
And she didn't have the language and the respect that she was entitled to. Mm-hmm. So they said, oh, it's okay, honey, don't worry about it. So what happened was she still birthed my brother.
Yeah.
And I don't have a brother because the doctors and the nurses would not listen to her. They did not give her respect.
Yeah.
She was a nobody, all right?
That sounds familiar.
So when I say about customers having respect and customers having the right of co-producing a net outcome, that means today the medical profession listens to the customer, to the patient. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they're going to get their funds sued. Right?
Yeah.
Now today, the police departments are starting to listen to the community and to the,
because they have to.
The backlash, the feedback that they're getting from their behavior because they were too uppity and had too much power.
Yeah.
So when we talk about changing the conversation in the volunteer sector, when I talk about changing the conversation and using time banking, I'm talking about we're demanding. When I have talked to policemen, when I have talked to social service providers, when I have talked to nonprofit directors, they go, "Oh, how can we work that way, Tony? We have to do this. I'm not going to do that. Are you nuts? Where are you coming from, Mr. Budak?" This is the kind of stuff I get. Now, I know this is going out over the valley, but I don't care. these institutions are not going to prevail unless they start giving the communities that they work in and live in more respect than what they're getting. And the way to do that is to recognize people's input, to recognize people's participation and their wisdom and their knowledge. And what time banking attempts to do is to build a huge database. I want everybody in the 4 counties around here to be in this database. If there's an issue that comes up, it's like organizing. As I said earlier, people naturally self-organize. But the tool that we have is Facebook. The tool that we have does not.
Now let's talk about this, because people do not understand. Facebook it seems free, but they are giving away information. What you are doing is you are providing a productive service that is local. And what you're saying, I'm not going to sugarcoat. What you're saying is that the people in charge, which are all these nonprofits who get all this public money and all these people running all these marathons, they're not giving you the time of day when you have a resource that is not only valuable for the local community, but for the youth to get involved and to come together and make something happen. Instead of everybody complaining and talking about all this nonsense, you're basically saying, here's a solution. Everybody has something that they can offer to the community. You either work together or you quit and leave the team and go try to be a billionaire somewhere and leave the community. Basically what you're saying, they're abandoning ship. Here you are. I watch you, Tony. I mean, I've seen you at some of the meetings. You have the meetings. You're there, and you want people to come, because if you didn't believe in it, I honestly believe if you didn't believe in it, then you wouldn't be doing it all the time. And everybody who runs a business knows. You come in there. This is something. There was an old I read in this book it talks about the logos and how everybody is born into the world with a logo. And we all have a trait that is God-given to us to possess as a human being. And if we do not fulfill that trait or that ability that God has given us to provide for our fellow man, then it drives us insane. And that's what I'm saying. So you're trying to find a way, not only just a way, but for somebody to say, here, Tony, I want to give you, I'm going to give you some radio time on my station to advertise your services so you can get the people you need who will help you, instead of always trying to be me, I'm going to offer my services because I have something to give. Everybody knows what's going on, Tony. The society has brainwashed everybody into believing that money is going to solve every problem when it's not. I mean, that's basically what you're saying. Give your times, build your craft, invest your skills into the community, and you can do it through time banking, pretty much.
Right.
Now,
yeah, I mean, like I said at the start of this show, the smarter people than me have figured out that the wisdom and the power of labor that people have, it's just a matter of organizing it. And if you you invite the community to come together. I mean, generally, let me say that for 40 years, I worked as a union activist at Delphi Packard. I was in IUE Local 717. And so you talked about people have a certain passion for a certain task or interest or mission, God-given or whatever.
Absolutely.
And that's what they, how they live their life. And but when I retired, I said, well, what am I going to do? I love to work with people.
Yeah.
I try to solve the organization problems, and then I discovered time banking. But where was I going with this?
You're basically I think I get what you're saying. You're basically saying you're talking about how it came to you. That's one of the questions I did have for you.
Yeah.
How did you get into time banking?
Right. Well, I discovered it on the internet, for God's sake. So here was this guy. I said, this has got to be some kind of a scam. This is some Ponzi thing. And so I took 7-8 weeks, and I did a bunch of Googling. I checked, and here I discovered, by God. He founded Legal Services for Poor People. He founded the Anti-Life School of Law. He's been doing this for 20 years. As well. Okay. And then there was other people in social science. You talked about, the Institute for Asset-Based Community Development. There's a lot of ways to do things. I want to say, at the outset, when I have 150 people here in the time bank, I've had as high as 180.
Yeah.
After 3 years, I had 180 people, and I looked at the database and saw what they were doing. Over 50 of them had never come to a social, never came to a meeting, never did a trade, never did anything. They were free riders.
Yeah.
They wanted time banking as an insurance policy. If they got in a jam, then they would call up. And most of the
amazing
time,
what people would do.
Didn't get in a jam. And but it was costing almost $2 a person to carry them on the books because I got expenses. I got to pay to use the internet. I got to pay to use the software. I got to pay this international organization to have the license. And they said, well, we got to pay the bill too, Tony, so you got to pay us some money.
Check this out, Tony. Tony, you know what amazes me is you have a group like ISIS, which is a system far out of the United States, and people are joining ISIS to kill people and to commit terrorist threats. When you have an inner city productive thing right there, all you have to do is sign up online to give your services. But people would rather give their services to some institute of people who go in, take poor people, give them things, and train them to rebel against all the world. And that's what amazes me.
Well, it's it. I mean, but we have learned in social. I try to figure this. This is a big problem for all community organizers and for businesses and for political science. So there was a study that was probably about 8 years ago. They looked at this and they said, well, why? I'll put it in the way that the guy talks about it. He said, well, why is it that right before Apple come out with its new iPhone, there were people sleeping on the sidewalk.
Amazing.
The day before, so they could get the doorway open. They can get that before the door sold out. So the reason why this happens is because the population it's not a mass market. It's a bell curve. It's not a flat, everybody's the same. There's people on the left side of the bell curve that are innovator, they are creative, they are risk takers, and those are the ones that will step out of the sandbox or get out of the house. And then that's the first 7 or 8% of the population on any given issue. Then the next 7 or 8% of the population, they're what they call the early followers.
Yeah.
And then the next 40% are, the more or less the mass. They will follow the 20% that led the way.
Yeah.
And then the last half of the bell curve are the, well, okay, I'll go along because these other guys are going along. And then the last 15% are says, they're the diehard. They're never going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So whatever the issue is, whenever I look at my outreach to my members and who I'm talking to, if I'm talking to somebody that's in that first 15%, I know that they believe in time banking, just like those people believe they wanted that Apple. They have a thirst for it. They have a passion for time banking. And those are the people that will be active in the time bank. They will not be passive. So, those people that I mentioned earlier, that 54 of them out of 180 that were passive, they want the pizza. They want people to deliver them the pizza. They don't want to go to the kitchen and cook the pizza and make it from scratch. That's okay. I understand that.
This is real fast, Tony. Let's discuss the pros of this thing because I want people to get the pros. Now we've talked about you've well explained the idea. You've well explained the efforts that you've been making. But let's talk about the pros of this thing. Okay. Now this is what I see. If I see a semi-pro or a pro development football league, and they have all of these things where people can enhance their skills, they won't be on the books just yet. But if they build their resume, there's a possibility that there is always a possibility that you will find people who need your services and will pay you. You have a lot of retirees in your network, correct?
Right.
Now, all those retirees were either baby boomers, and they have retirement money coming in. And if these youth, or just not even youth, but somebody with some skills gets involved with time banking, they can put their services to use. And then as they build up the relationship with the people involved with the network, they can benefit, because these people will pay them after. It may not be upfront, but they have to earn their keep. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, this is the experience that the National has had. You know, we've had elder, they call care brigade or elder care efforts, a small group, turn into a professional health and service agency. We've had guys working on insulation and weatherproofing a house just for time bankers on time credits. All of a sudden, they're getting so many calls. People from outside
Absolutely.
the network are calling. They go legitimate, and they go on the federal economy. Yes, this is about,
and that's why people should get involved.
Crawl before you can run. You got to walk before you can run. So you work your way up.
And
that's what I'm doing. I'm working my way up with the time bank.
And you've presented this to, and I swear, Tony, that's why I wanted to get you in here. I'm always thinking about you. If you give me a text to come to a meeting and I can't make it, it hurts me because I see. I remember a long time ago when I first. Every time I try to do something, I always have to go back to where it started. And I'm like, man, this man is out there and he has a valuable service. If people would just get out of the state of thinking about me, I have to have money. Sometimes you have to go out and just give it a try. Just fly, spread your wings, go to a meeting and listen to what's going on. These are people who've already played the game. You're how old are you, Tony?
Pardon me?
I said, how old are you?
I'm 73.
So that's what I'm saying. You've done far. That's why I said I could get wisdom from you. That's when I first brought you on the pause when I used to have the TV show. I said, well, this man is smart. He's wise. He's got a lot of knowledge, and that's why I want to keep going in. But I want it without saying this. If I could donate, like say for instance, let's talk about how people can give to time banking. Say I donated. How can people?
Let me say something. About. There's one of my favorite things here in the state of Ohio is the Kent State University Department of Employee Ownership. People don't understand the wonderful thing that their tax dollars are doing at Kent State University. I want to say my son got laid off. He was a salesman for this company, and he said, "Dad, I'm getting laid off." I said, oh, geez. He says, but I think that this business man doesn't know how to market, doesn't know how to sell, because I'm in sales. I said, well, what are you going to do about it? He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, here. I said, you can go to Kent State University, Employee Ownership Center up there, and you could get tax dollars will pay a business consultant, a market analysis. They'll design a feasibility study. They'll run that through and see if that business is a viable takeover by the workers. The workers can buy that outfit out. And because it's in the interest of the state to have jobs. It's in the interest of the state to have taxpayers.
Yes.
So they will do this. And so I said, but the hook is jobs. If you're going to create workers, you're going to create employment. So what you got to do, his name is Tony, too. Tony is put together a team, 3 or 4 or 5 guys from that business, and you go out there as a group. You say, we're all going to help manage this business. We're going to devote our energy and our wisdom and our time to save this business. So he did that.
Mm-hmm.
And they provided, this wonderful resource of consulting, analysis, market analysis, product analysis, income and revenue projections, feasibility study, whatever. And they, at the end of that 6 months, they went to my son and his buddies who were going to make a proposal to buy the business. I said, hey, the boss is right. This business is going to fail. We cannot, counsel you to make a buyout.
Wow.
So, to people that are listening to us on this show today, if they want to start a business, they can get assistance from the state of Ohio through Kent State University. This is not the Chamber of Commerce. This is they're interested in creating employment. But the hook again is you have to create a worker co-op, or you have to create an employee-owned business.
Real quick, I got to give a real quick tagline real quick, Tony. You are listening to The Media with Brian West. I am talking to Tony Budak. If you want to donate or be a sponsor of the program, you can always donate at method8inc.com. I'm talking to Tony Budak today. We're talking about time banking and the importance of building communities and how time banking can help build communities. Now, Tony, we're down to the last minute. I always like to open up the floor a little bit in the last 10 minutes of the show. Well, now let's talk about. Now, I want to talk about how people can help you and get involved with what you're doing. And then if you want to finish talking about did you get your point across with the business thing?
Yeah. If you want to go big time business, that's a wonderful thing. You should know that. But to get involved with the time bank, you go to the website www.tbmw. Those are the initials for Time Bank Mahoning Watershed, tbmw.org. Top of the page, join, and I will get your phone number and your email, and I'll be, conversing with you.
Now, you are a 501c3, correct? So people can donate.
We're right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're a 501c3.
Now, what if I gave like I wanted to? When you're having a meeting this week, right?
We have a social gathering every week. We have lunch on the first Monday. I can talk about that.
Tony, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people who need bodies. I mean, just people with skills. And my vision is to try to give back to you by getting the word out, so you can get colleges, just young people who. There's a lot of people. What people don't understand, there's a lot of people in college who don't feel like what they're doing is getting them anywhere. They have debts to pay, and they need something. They need either it's a resume builder, and they need people who, they don't want always, sometimes you don't always want people who either look or come from the same part of town. You want to go out and venture. So what I'm going to do, Tony, is I want to invest more into what you're doing by getting the word out. If I can do that, then I think I can help out as much as I can, because I think what you're doing can help out a lot of people. There's a pro development league that I'm working with right now, and if I see cameramen on the sideline, I see trainers, I see coaches, I see video people, I see marketers, I see entrepreneurs, and I think they're getting the wrong vision about how to work this thing. Am I correct?
Well, they're copying the current role model of organizational design and organizational practice. And, this myth that, I built this company by myself and it's me.
Yeah.
Baloney. Every capitalist that's wealthy could not be there if it wasn't for all the help, the mentoring, the workers, the school system that he went through.
Yep.
He's standing on the shoulders of other people. And we start off and saying right up front, you want to succeed, you need to build a team around you. You need to cooperate and collectively, this team will win, and then you will win too.
What time is the meeting tomorrow, Tony?
Well, it's a luncheon, just a social, and it's at Jimmy's Italian restaurant on Belmont Avenue at 11:45. I tell people to come early because they have good food, and it gets to be a line in there for a sandwich. So at noon, because people getting out of work, hit that place at noon.
I got some videos that I need to get done, but I know the timing of the time banking could not have been perfect, because I have a lot of people who need workers, and we have to get the word out, because right now the political system they're arguing, everybody's arguing, but nothing is getting done. There are young people who are watching, all of us adults, including myself, and they're
jump in.
Go ahead.
You have this network with videos. There's a social nonprofit. It's called In Our Backyard. IOBY.org. In Our Backyard. And they will assist and counsel projects, startups, campaign, fundraising. You know, it's what do they call that? How to raise money on the internet. But the key to raising money on the internet is to have a wonderful video.
Yeah,
a 3-4 minute video that you can present to your community to get your audience to chip in $1 or $2 so you can raise money.
You know what I want, Tony? I don't want money. I want to go where you are right now. And this is where people get confused about Method 8. Method 8 has always been mission driven. And the only reason why I need money is to give people like you advertising money so I can build the video for you. That's the only reason why Method 8 was born. Method 8 it's always been mission driven. So we go and I use media. Like you gave a little spiel about your business. So I use media to go in and basically transform and give people a platform. So what I'm saying is I want to use time banking because I want to put people to an active work. People have to get, I was raised in an urban community. We have 3 minutes left in the show. I was raised in the inner city. I have seen money destroy my own flesh and my own skin color, which is African Americans. People always want money, money, money. They don't want to work. I want to work, Tony, and every little bit I get, I give it away. I'm the least wealthiest man you probably can meet right now, but I want to. We have 3 minutes left in the show, Tony, but I want to give my dedications to you because I see what you're doing, and I want to put people to work. Work is a valuable thing. This country was built off labor.
Yeah. I got to cut you off now because you're on my wavelength. You're talking the way I do. Now, this year, 2015, the Time Bank has what we call a call to celebrate our Mahoning Valley's culture of sharing. In other words, it's not about money, and we want to celebrate our sharing. On our website, we have, spread the word. The Time Bank is in search of community members to showcase their skill set, their giving and their receiving, their wisdom, and what they want to do. So I have a dream list. I call it a dream space. What's your dream? What do you want to do? Do you want to have a share festival? Do you want to have a market? Do you want to do a repair cafe? Do you want to do a wellness health approach thing? Do you want to do a mechanical thing? Like, are you an inventor? Do you want to do that? So, and then at the bottom, and there's
real quick, Tony,
program. You want to do a project, whatever it is, and then I tell them, you're going to need some money, Brian. You're going to need to rent a hall or buy some equipment. And
excellent.
That's where IOB comes in. You got to, but also it's walking on 2 feet. One foot's with the money, the other foot's with sharing time.
Well, we got to end this real quick. I'm going to meet with you tomorrow, Tony. We're going to get this thing put together. I'm going to look at this website, and I want to thank you, Tony. we're on the battlefield. I want to thank you for coming on to the Mediator today. Anything else I could do for you? I'm definitely going to be at the meeting tomorrow. I have some time, so I'm going to come down there. Anybody wants to get involved, come out to the meeting with us. Tony, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the Mediator with Brian West. Tony, have yourself a good week, man. I'll see you tomorrow.
Peace and love, bro.
Peace and love. Peace and love. I'll see you tomorrow, man.
Yes, sir.
Listening to News Talk 790 WPIC, Sharon Hermitage, a Cumulus station sponsored by the Ridgewood at Shenango Valley, a premier senior living residence.